Good
Good morning,
morning,
everybody.
everybody.
I'm trying to go live on Instagram, but it won't even clicking the button to go live. It's like frozen.
Okay, well, I guess
Yeah.
you can click it if it shows up later, and if not, then
Oh, here it
this'll
showed
work.
up. Okay. Oh,
Woo.
interesting. All right. So, yay, everybody, Instagram included. We're all here. Hi. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to DIY Wellness, the show for people taking personal growth into their own hands. On this show, Brian and I are exploring a bunch of different strategies for improving quality of life and well-being. And on each episode, we explain and experiment with one method or idea that can help achieve that goal. And our hope is that you listen, and if you like the ideas, if it resonates with you, you take it and try it. And if it doesn't resonate with you, you throw it in the garbage. Brian, how are you taking personal growth into your own hands this week?
That is a great question. Well, I am taking personal growth into my own hands by letting go of the outcome. Specifically, in my case, I have a ankle issue, and so I thought it was going to be 2 days before I could walk again. It's actually been 14, and I'm still barely hobbling around. So I have
Yeah.
absolutely had to let go of that outcome and make the best of it over these 2 weeks. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that goes today. Basically, what it feels like to be deeply attached to an outcome, how that feels in
Hmm.
our body and our brain, and what the thoughts that come with it. Also, we're going to talk about what it feels like when you can walk through life with detachment and
Hmm.
what that does to your body and thoughts and nervous system. And then finally, we're going to give you a little bit of advice on how to detach, how you could go about doing this for yourself so that you can feel the emotional, mental, and cognitive benefits in your own life too.
Hmm. Yeah, so we're going to talk about attachment and detachment, how they feel. Attachment in general, if anyone is unfamiliar with what that is, it's basically feeling like something needs to happen, or feeling like I suppose what's a better word than attached? Attached really is the word to describe it.
Attached is the great word. It's kind of like, to give us a really simple analogy, is like if you're going out for ice cream and you really, really, really want chocolate, then what that means is you're attached to the idea of having chocolate. You really, really want it. Your emotions are attached to it. And then you get to the ice cream place and they only have vanilla. If you're really, really attached to chocolate and you can't have it and you can only get vanilla, it's going to ruin your day and wreck your day. And you're going to feel nervous and shaky and annoyed because you were attached and didn't get your way.
Yeah,
Whereas if you really, really, really want chocolate, but you think to yourself, ah, if they don't have it, it'll be okay. I'll get butter pecan. Or I know it's fine. I don't even need ice cream today anyway. Or whatever things you want to put on place to like allow
yeah,
yourself to not feel so attached to that it has to be chocolate. It has to go just this way and I have to get just this size or whatever. That's attachment. It has to be just exactly, particularly, specifically. And if it's not, you're miserable.
that's a great analogy, Brian. Yeah, so it's the feeling of something has to happen, and also the experience of, if something doesn't go the way that I want it to, or if this thing that I'm hoping for doesn't happen, then I will not be okay. I will not feel okay. I'll feel any range of very negative emotions, and it's okay to feel disappointed or frustrated over things, but it's really the attachment is kind of an intense feeling of like, this is not okay. I'm not okay with it, and therefore will tend to ruminate on things that don't happen that we are attached to.
Yeah, exactly. Because attachment will, the more attached you are, you will experience more disappointment in your life. However, on the flip side, when you become more and more detached, you won't necessarily experience a lot less disappointment, but you will experience an okayness with disappointment. Like when you're disappointed by something, it'll be okay because you weren't so attached to
Yeah.
it coming out that way. And then the energy that you would have normally used fretting over the attachment is energy you still have readily available to pivot and to make the best of and to
Mhm.
find a different way forward. So that's the beautiful sort of superpower of detachment, is the energy that it returns to you. Attachment, if you really think about it, like you're literally put your hand on something and it's like velcro there and it's attached. That's one limb that you don't have to put anywhere else, right? And so you're stuck.
Mhm.
And like that's the same with all your emotions. Every time you attach your emotions to something, that's a little piece of you that's stuck on only that thing, and then you don't have that to use anywhere else, and you only have two hands and two legs. Like thankfully we have a lot more emotions than that, but still it's a finite amount of emotional energy. And so the more things you
Yeah.
attach it to, the less of it you have available to use for things that life
Yeah.
throws at you in the present moment.
Right. Well, and it's not even your emotions that get attached to it. It's also your attention. Because when I'm
Yeah.
feeling attached to something, then my mind is focusing on that thing, and it will prevent me from being able to, like you said, be present in the moment with other things. And so you can quite literally, if you're very, very attached to something or many things, or have a habit of being attached to things, it can take you out of your life and render you unable to be here in the now.
Yeah. I mean, you think about stories we've heard about people who hold on to a lifelong regret for their whole lives, right? And on their deathbed, they're talking about, I wish I had been able to blah, 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 or I wish I'd let this go, right? That's what attachment is to the extreme, right? And we're just talking
Yeah.
about like even regular old mundane attachments. Like the more you notice anything you're attached to, whether it's extreme, like this big cord you've had your whole life attached to this thing, or whether it's little tiny things that you get attached to, the more you can notice them and the more you can detach, the more freedom, power, and joy you get back. And I don't know about you, but freedom, power, and joy are things that I really, really want. In the Buddhist
Yeah.
traditions and the yogic traditions, they talk about attachment as one of the major, major causes of suffering. Like not desire,
Yes,
but
it is.
attachment to the fulfillment of those desires is specifically the cause of the suffering. So in my case, like
Yes.
I really desired a TV and show business career, right? And I still desire that. And um, but up until about 10 years ago, I was really, really attached to it. And so I would either pursue it
Mhm.
feverishly or get so paralyzed that I wouldn't pursue it at all. And I was living in LA at the time. I was wound up. I ended up with a cocaine addiction for part of the time. Like, and it was just, but I was very much attached to this outcome and it had to be this way. And if it didn't turn out that way, I knew it meant I was a failure. I was sure that it meant that. And so it was like
Mm.
feverish to have to do this. Since then, I've done a lot of therapy, I've done a lot of coaching work, I've done a lot of whatever to change my perspectives on things and learn about detachment. And now I realize, like, with my
Mhm.
film and television career, like, it's the process that's going to fulfill me. And it doesn't actually matter if it ever turns out. Like, hooking my
Yeah.
happiness on how it turns out was a recipe for really feeling awful a lot of the time. Now,
Yeah.
I'm able to I have a job where I help people. I get to do this podcast on a volunteer basis. It's all really, really fun. And in the free time
Mhm.
that is afforded to me by this new lifestyle, I'm able to make my films and make my web series and do that stuff with no, oh, Hollywood has to like me. They have to find me. It has to become a thing, right? Because that was awful. What an awful feeling. And now it's just
Yeah.
like, I make this show for fun. I make it because I love to make it. I make it because I'm a gay man and it's important for me to normalize LGBTQ experiences. And that's what the web series does. And like noticing those things, like the process of creation, the deeper reasons for my creating beyond fame and fortune and whatever, they drive
Yeah.
me now in a way. They were always driving me before too, but they were laid on top with culture's expectations and my feverish need to achieve that had been put into me by culture. So once you heal
Yeah.
all those things, it doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily give away or drop the desires you have. I still have the same feverish desire for a show business career, but it's not a desire I'm attached to in the same way, and it doesn't cause me misery in the same way because I'm not
Yeah.
attached. So that's the key. That's why yoga and Buddhist traditions make a real distinction between the cause of suffering being attachment to your desires, not your
Yeah.
desires themselves.
Yeah. I kind of wish that I had learned more about attachment and detachment earlier on, especially as someone who works with people with their goals. Because what you just described is like when you have a goal and you want something really, really bad, there is a risk that, like you said, feverish desire can drive you into a really, really dark place if it
Yes.
feels like you're not achieving it fast enough, or if it there is even a concern that maybe it's not possible. It can really take you to your lowest low.
Yeah.
And getting to a place where we're in acceptance of, maybe it isn't going to happen in the way that I'm envisioning, but I can still pursue it and I can still enjoy the journey, like, then you're always okay. And your emotions are going to better support you in being able to achieve that thing, because you're not going to be so filled with fear and pain and disappointment. You're just going to be doing the thing
Mhm.
and hopefully enjoying as much of it as possible along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing the thing. Like, this is a recipe for entering the flow state. The flow state is like, it's a real creativity state where you lose track of time and you get so much done. Science has researched and validated how to get into it. And part of the way to get into it has to do with like freedom and play and non attachment to the outcome of whatever you're about to get into. That's like a prerequisite for the flow state. So, what we're describing here, detaching, will actually help you go deeper into the things you love without being focused on how it all turns out. Instead, you'll just be deeper in what you love in the moment that you're doing what you love. And how it turns out is
Mhm.
left to the wolves or the birds or whatever. So
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
quote from the Tao Te Ching that I want to say here. It says,
Oh, yeah.
"The master is detached from all things. That is why she is one with them, because she has not let go of herself. She is perfectly fulfilled. The master allows things to happen. She shapes events as they come. She steps out of the way." These quotes are about the way in which detachment leads directly to fulfillment. By allowing things to happen, we are letting go of control. And by shaping events as they come, we're choosing to remain rooted in the present moment. And by stepping out of
Mhm.
the way, we are making our desire secondary to the unfolding of reality, which means we are putting the real reality first and saying, I'm okay with whatever happens, but I'm adding my desire to it and saying, I hope it's this, but I'm not attached.
Mhm. Yeah, which I mean, you can immediately guess as to why that would make you feel a lot less suffering, because reality is always gonna do its thing. It is always going to go whatever way it wants to go. And if we're constantly living in a state of like not being okay with what the outcome is, not being okay with how reality wants to operate, we're gonna be in a bad way all the time.
Exactly, because it's not up to us how life goes. Like, my God.
Yeah.
But we so think it is. We've been taught to think it is. We've actually been taught, like, in our culture, one of the big sort of things of our culture is like man versus nature, and man can conquer nature. And well, we can't, though. You know what I mean? We just
Yeah,
simply can't. Like, and nature can do whatever it wants, anytime it wants. And boom, then we're going to have to just like detach and figure it out and go from there. Attachment,
yeah,
letting go of attachment is akin to embracing a certain level of uncertainty. So that's
yeah,
something to understand. Like, we don't love uncertainty, but when you let go of attachment to the outcome, that's what you're doing. And we're not accustomed to it in this culture. We're accustomed to control everything in order to be safe, or to seek to control everything in order to be safe. So it may seem a little like, well, of course, attaching is how
mhm.
I plan my life. Yeah, exactly. But it's also how come your life feels miserable, right? So, like, there's ways to plan, there's ways to plan your life that are not so attached to outcome, that will allow you to be flexible with what life throws at you, because life isn't always going to line up with your outcome. In fact, it almost never will. And then sometimes it
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, and Brian and I are not claiming to be, perfect at this. We're far from it, and both of us are actively dealing with things where we do feel somewhat attached to an outcome and are trying to kind of work on becoming detached. And sometimes we succeed and sometimes we don't. In my case, I've applied for a couple full-time coaching jobs, which sounds like, oh my gosh, that's my dream. That would be amazing if I could work full-time, doing coaching, in a salaried, capacity, right? And I am waiting to hear back after going through several rounds of interviews, and I don't know, what's going to happen, but part of me feels at times very attached to, "I need this to happen, I need this to happen because it would be so amazing, and here's all the good things that would come out of it, and it would help me become an even better coach than I already am," and so I have all this hope and excitement and some attachment, and I notice that when I'm in that state of attachment around it, I have a harder time existing in my life. I have a harder time thinking about and doing other things in a very present way. And so I'm kind of going between feeling attached and being really focused on it, and then coming back to it's okay if it doesn't happen. If
Yeah.
this opportunity doesn't come, some other opportunity will likely come. And even if this doesn't happen, I have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. And so I go between these things of like, I need it, and I really don't need it because it's going to be okay regardless.
Yeah.
And you can feel both.
Yeah, and you described something about this to me the other day, where you mentioned how before the job offer even came, you were fine. And so it's like
Yes.
now that it's here and there's hope and stuff, that little part of you that wants to get attached,
Yeah.
it's like there's the illusion that if she doesn't get this job now, everything's going to fall apart. But like 10 days ago, when the job wasn't a possibility or whatever, nothing was falling apart, right? So it's like we've got to remind ourselves of that stuff too. And like, I just remember you telling me that piece a couple days ago, and I thought that's so true.
Yeah.
Like, until the opportunity was there was nothing to throw you off. And so when we get
Yes.
attached, what happens is we let things that are opportunities, which are good, we let them throw us off when we add attachment. Instead, we
Yeah.
can let opportunities boost us up. If we can remain detached, even from opportunities that come our way, then it's like we're surfing. But if we get
Yeah.
attached to one, then it's like we're grabbing on the back of the one handle of the water ski and the boat's going so fast and we can barely stand up because we're attached to this one thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Trying to get it to happen.
Yeah.
Instead, you can just float on all the little buoys that show up, and whichever one is the real opportunity will come to you. That's a weird
Yeah.
analogy, but you get it.
That's a
you guys
perfect
are you
no,
guys
that's
are
a
smart.
perfect
You get it.
analogy. That's a perfect analogy because it's a contrast between the chaos and the feeling of lack of control of being attached versus the I'm just going with it. I am going to end up wherever I end up and that's okay. And it's like it's kind of interesting because when we're attached it almost creates the chaos. It
Hmm.
creates the waves and it creates the velocity that makes it feel like ah, oh my
Yeah,
god, you
that's
know.
right.
And then as soon as you detach then it's like oh the water's calm.
Yes, exactly. That's so right.
Oh, oh I was freaking out for no reason.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was just the motorboat. I should just turn that off.
Yeah, I could just let go of it. I don't
Yeah.
have to hang on and be
Exactly, just let
getting
go,
dragged through the
and then
water.
buoys will float up, and you grab one of those.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So with the
So
last 2 minutes here, if it's cool, I just wanna share with you guys, like,
mhm,
a little tiny step-by-step process that you can use to help yourselves detach a little bit. So,
mhm,
first thing is, whatever you notice you're attached to, separate the outcome from your personal worth. And like, this is a thing, like I
mhm.
say that, and that's just 6 words, and it's like, what? That's going to take months to do. And yeah,
That's so
sure. Like,
important.
it's like this is a lifelong thing I'm talking about. Separate the outcome from your personal worth because they're unrelated. They are truly deeply unrelated, but you don't have to take my word for it. The thing to notice is like, as you hear me saying that, there's a little piece of truth probably resonating like, yeah, it's not about my self-worth. I do know that, but it's hard to really believe, right? So it's
Yeah.
okay if you don't
Yeah,
believe it, but practice it anyway. Practice reminding yourself like, oh, if this doesn't go my way, it doesn't have to do with my self-worth. That's just something I was taught. It's not true. And you
yeah,
just keep
yeah,
reminding yourself that it's not true, that your self-worth is not dependent on what you achieve and the outcome of things that you try to do. That's not
yeah,
where self-worth comes from. I mean, it's sometimes where we try to derive it from, but it's not where it actually comes from. So
yeah,
that's one. Let go of the outcome being related to your personal worth if you can. If you can't,
yeah,
just know that that's out there and be in the vicinity of trying to let go, right? And then realize external outcomes are not the source of happiness and they don't have to work out for us to feel okay. So it's like these are the same kind of thing, right? Like it's okay, like reminding yourself when the big opportunity comes, when the buoy shows up, like that, okay, there are also other buoys out here, and this
yeah,
one sinking again or whatever is not going to wreck me because it just showed up and I was fine before it got here. I'll be fine if it doesn't work out. And
yeah,
then this is my favorite one is focus on the process itself being fulfilling, not just the outcome. Because like in going back to my thing with film, for example, like this is the one I can
yes.
relate it to, but it's like in LA, the whole time being so focused on the outcome, whenever I would show up on set, I was filled with anxiety. You know what I mean? And whenever I was home writing,
Mhm.
I was writing with urgency. Now, when I show up on sets, I'm having a really good time creating something in physical reality that I first created on a computer. And it's like that itself is just like joyful and magical and ingenious. And when
Yeah,
I was so attached to the outcome and what it would do for my career, I literally could not experience that stuff to its fullest. And I missed it. There was even a part during my time in LA where I started to convince myself that I didn't like making movies because what was really true is I didn't like the approach I had been taking to making
yeah,
movies. And now I'm making movies all the time again and realizing how much I love it. And it's because my approach is so different. I make movies for me, I
yeah,
make movies for fun. I don't make movies for success.
yeah.
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 So
Um, I relate to that so much because I've had that feeling about coaching before where I'm like, "Oh, maybe I don't like it because it's been really stressful trying to, do it." But then when I'm actually, like, in it and I'm letting go of, certain outcomes, right? It's like, "Oh, this is the most magical thing ever, and I would not rather be doing anything else on the planet." And I feel aligned and passionate while I'm in it, and it's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I the only reason that there was ever a moment where I felt like I didn't love it was because I was in a state of attachment to getting something out of it."
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's such a paradox, but it's so true. If we let go of
Yeah.
needing to get anything out of it, we get so much more out of it.
Yes, that's true. So
Yeah.
and so much, like, more valuable, soulful things out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the last step, and this is a great place to end too, is to celebrate the journey toward the outcome. So while you're enjoying the process, remember that each little victory along the way, it's worth celebrating. We've also been taught in this culture, like you better not celebrate till you have a really good reason. You know what I mean? And like, and so it's
Mhm.
like in this time, like when you, for me, when I wrote the first couple scripts, celebrate. When we shot the first episode, celebrate. When we did casting, celebrate. It's like everywhere
Yeah,
along the way, because then suddenly not only are you focusing on the process for enjoyment's sake, but the entire
yeah,
process has built within it now, embedded within it, a sense of celebration and festivity, because that's how you're coming at your life, period, full stop. That's like your new worldview. I'm going to be present. I'm going to celebrate my wins. I'm going to not be attached to how it all turns out. This is us trying to practice detachment. So
yeah,
take what resonates. And if you try this, if you have any experiences with any of these, please let us know in the comments. Let us know if it goes well. Let us know if it doesn't go well. We'd love to talk that through. And if you have any questions as you attempt to do these, place them in the comments too, because we will answer them live week to week. And we will also get to them after the fact as well.
yeah.
So until next week, stay healthy, everyone, and keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love.
Have a good day. Bye.